What we've done so far is pretty good. We can now use variables to change the MAC address to any desired MAC address and on any interface. However, each time the user wants to change these variables, they must open the code, open the program, and modify its code manually, which is not very convenient. It would be better if we could allow the user to input the variables they want through the terminal. There are a few ways to accomplish this, and in this lecture, we're going to discuss the input function. All we need to do is use the input function, displaying a prompt to the user. For example, we could ask for their age, then store it in a variable named however we like. In this example, we're calling it age. When the user sees this message asking, "What's your age?" and they input, say, 10, that value will be stored in the age variable, and we can then print it. Now, this is a simple example, but we're going to use this functionality in our code to prompt the user to enter the interface and the new MAC address. We already have a variable called interface, and instead of initializing it manually, we want the user to provide this value. So, instead of hard-coding F0, we'll set interface to the input given by the user. We'll include a prompt message within the input function so the user knows what to input. We'll do the same for the MAC address. Instead of hard-coding the MAC address within the code, we'll use new_MAC, which will be set to the value entered by the user. We'll display a message like enter new MAC, and store the input in new_MAC. Once this setup is complete, let's run the program to see how it works. Running Python mac_changer.py, you'll see that the program will pause and first ask for the interface. When I enter LAN0, this input is automatically assigned to interface, because we set interface equals input, and the user is now giving the input through the terminal. If I hit enter, it prompts me for the interface, so I set it to LAN0. The program pauses again and asks for the new MAC address. This time, I enter 00:11:22:33:44:44 to ensure the code functions correctly. Now, the code has initialized interface with LAN0, and once I hit enter, it sets new_MAC to the value I just entered. Let's hit enter and see what happens. It prints the statement confirming that it's changing the MAC address for LAN0 to the new MAC address. This print statement is a useful way to verify that interface and new_MAC hold the expected values provided by the user. As the code becomes more complex, such print statements help prevent errors, ensuring variables contain the correct values. Now, we can run ifconfig LAN0 to check if the MAC address has changed, and as you can see, it did change to the desired MAC address. That's it for this lecture. The goal here was to introduce the input function, allowing users to initialize variables or interact with the program directly through the terminal, rather than having to modify the code manually every time they need to change a variable.